I was interested in animals very early in my life. So here you see me at the age of 3, when I was examining the the condition of the teeth of the statue of wolf placed in one of the oldest zoos, which was the zoo in Poland. I had also my affairs with horses. And my mom says that the first word that I was able to say was a horse. It wasn't mommy, it wasn't daddy, it was a horse. So you see this link and this interest in animals, but I actually didn't study animals. I did study psychology, and later on I obtained my degrees in humanities, in social sciences. So my formal education is humanities, is social sciences. But in the meantime, when I was obtaining my degrees, in my life started to appear some animals, some dogs, and more dogs, and more dogs, and even more dogs. So now I share my life with 7 dogs, so this is quite a pack. And living with this group, I started to observe how similar these social animals are to humans, and how many behaviors and similarities we share. They form teams, intentional teams, when they want to obtain a certain task and reach a certain goal. They combine teams which are based on competencies, skills, and abilities. They have their own emotions. They have also preferences, but of course they have wars and they fight. At the same time, they apply something what we find in psychology these days as something very, very innovative, which is flexible leadership. So they choose a leader depending on the situation and depending on the specific task that they want to complete. So I have noticed that animals have a lot of similarities, and especially social animals. They share a lot with us humans. So I started to deepen my knowledge by participating in courses and trainings and conferences, and also getting some formal education. So I think I'm the only professor in sociology in Poland now who just obtained a degree from veterinary school, technical veterinary school. But I also have managed to combine it in something very, very serious, what has very specific meaning, very special meaning for me. And I got this position of expert witness. Expert witness is a person who has a specific, kind of unique information and can combine them in supporting Polish legal system. So in cases of maltreatment and mistreatment of animals and violence on animals, when judges are supposed to make judgments, they usually send me all these files, and I support them with my opinions if really animal was suffering in this given situation. So you see that this passion and interest for animals, later on I have managed somehow to combine with professional knowledge. And it's very important for me because now I can act on behalf of animals, but I can also support us, our society, in providing education about animals. So very early, I have noticed that psychology and ethology actually are the same things. When you look at the scientific definitions of psychology, it says this is a scientific measurement of human behavior. Ethology is a scientific measurement of animals' behavior. So you see that the difference is just this one word, human and animal. But in the end, aren't we animals? Let me ask you a question. How many of you have dogs? Raise your hand up. Thank you. And how many of you have cats? As you can see, half of us, and this is also confirmed by sociological research, half of us share life with animals. But have you ever tried to think how to improve our relationships with animals, how to make their life better, but also how to understand them? Sometimes we think we know a lot about animals, but in fact, we really don't. Let me show you these 2 pictures. On one picture, you see this monkey sitting on this beautiful green grass. And then there is this metal construction site, let's say. How many of you would think that the green grass is more appropriate for this monkey if we want to keep this monkey somewhere close to us? Okay, thank you very much. How many of you would think that this metal construction is a better environment for the monkey? Thank you very much, especially to those who have raised hand pointing to this first picture. Of course, this is wrong answer, but I appreciate your input into my presentation here, because this shows our human thinking about animal life and animal needs, and also the perception of what animals need and how animals function. So, of course, you can argue and you can say, well, monkey is not really the animal that we meet in our daily life, so maybe we should get to some species which is closer to us. So here you go, you have another example, and this is an example for those who have dogs. And we do see in daily practice, in daily life, I kind of observe this more and more often, that people choose these mazes for dogs which are soft, made of fabric, because they think that this is more delicate, this is supple, it's easier for the dog to wear this kind of a maze, while in fact what dog needs is this horrible maze which looks basically like a cage. But it is something what we call physiological maze, which allows to breathe, to regulate temperature, and sometimes even drink. It allows to the dog to vocalize, which means barking, so he or she can communicate. But in the public thinking, we tend to think that what is nicer for us could be nicer also for the dog. 77% of the bites, of the injuries which are caused by dogs at homes happen because we don't understand what these animals tell us, and we don't know what they communicate to us. So in fact, this really shows that we don't have the knowledge about animal behavior. How we can apply psychology here? These are the basic rules for psychological thinking when you look at humans, but this also can be applied to animals. First thing is to observe. And it seems to be very easy, but it's not, because we tend to make immediate judgments. So think of animals as individuals who behave in different ways, who have different needs, who have different requirements if you want to provide them a welfare and good conditions for their life. Avoid simplistic judgments. This is also very difficult because in our mind, our brains are constructed this way that we observe, we absorb information, and we select these informations. So this drives us automatically into very simplistic judgments, and we can come across these judgments very often. We say, our cat is malicious, our dog is mean. They are never mean, they are totally predictable. We just don't know what kind of stimuli causes certain kind of reaction. Also avoid anthropomorphization, which happens very, very often when we tend to assign to animals human thinking, human type of judgments, and also human emotions. Broaden knowledge about animals. When we start to look at animals and how complex they are in their behaviors, and we start to be intrigued by these complex behaviors, the automatic step which follows is broadening the knowledge which provides actual information, which help to identify accurate needs of animals. And last but not least, and very important, is respect the needs of animals and also differences which they have towards us. So in the end, using psychological approaches may help to improve both animal welfare and also human welfare, and in the end, make all of us happier and have more successful life, and a life which is more beneficial in terms of emotional welfare and happiness. Thank you. Thank you.